Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new Haulix live event. We haven't been around in a few weeks, but it's worth the wait because today we have some of my favorite people in the music business, some people that have known me for a long time, some people that haven't known me for as long. Dayna's like my oldest contact in the music business, and today she can become your new contact in the music business along with her wonderful team. So I'll go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves in just a second. But before we do, as always, this is brought to you by Haulix.com, a music promotional distribution service, which you can use to share your music with members of the press or radio stations and everything in between. Sign up for a free 30-day trial by visiting Haulix.com. That's Haulix.com. If you're watching this, you can probably see our name somewhere along with a link to the site. So I hope you can figure it out. The Big Picture ladies today will tell you how they've used it as well. I know for right now they're promoting a Fit for a King record. They're promoting through our service, for example, that I just got earlier today. So I know they've been on it recently. So anyways, without further ado, Dayna, since you are the queen of it all, why don't you kick us off by telling everyone who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Yeah. So James is correct. I've known him since he was like 9. I don't know. When did you start in the music industry, James? You were
2008. So I turned 33 this year. So a long time ago, like, 19, 20.
Yeah, a long time. So yeah, he has really seen me. You knew me even before I started Big Picture, which is crazy. But yeah, hi everyone. I started Big Picture in 2007. Previous to that, I worked at a company called Press Here for a couple of years, and really just wanted to branch out and start on my own. And the company has grown immensely. We will be into our 14th year next month, October 22nd, for anybody that wants to send chocolates. We enjoy them. But yeah, really proud of my entire team here. We've got Natalie, Kirsten, 2 of the 7. The rest of them, I'm sure, can say hello in the chat and are watching because that is who we are. We all support one another. We're an incredibly supportive family. So excited to tell everybody more about me later, but I'll let Natalie kick it off next, and then we'll go to Kirsten.
Okay, I'm Natalie. I've been working at Big Picture for, I just had my 7-year anniversary, which is wild. So it's officially the longest job I've ever had. I met Dayna. I used to work at Hopeless Records. I was doing marketing, managing, and promotions over there. Same thing, we would hire Big Picture to do all of our bigger bands at Hopeless, and I was like, I want to work on those.
I love Natalie from the day I met her. And when I was visiting California to tour Hopeless, she was dressed so cute and so bubbly and just had such a glowing personality. I was like, you should work for me. But I don't even know how it didn't necessarily go down that way, but it all worked out.
I wanted to live on the East Coast. Oh. Whoa, wow. Sorry.
Wow.
So rude. That's me. I had wanted to live on the East Coast, and I know Dayna had an office in New York, and they just opened like a Philly office. So that was how I kind of sneakily was like, hey, I want to live there. And she said, come work with me in LA for a couple of years, and I'll take you to the East Coast. And then you did. And I've been here for 5 years now.
In New York.
In New York, yes.
Yeah, you're a real Brooklynite.
The brick.
Yeah, look at the bricks.
I know, it's so exposed. And then next is Kirsten, and I'm so excited for Kirsten to share her story because as she's really the only one of us that came from a different industry into music. So Kira, your bangs look amazing, by the way.
No, I cut them myself. Sorry, Mom. So hi, I'm Kirsten. I just celebrated my 3-year anniversary at Big Picture. I can't believe it, but I'm so excited. Prior to Big Picture, I worked at a fashion and beauty PR firm, actually. I went to school at the Fashion Institute of Technology here in New York. And when I was in school, I kind of knew that fashion wasn't for me, but first job out of school kind of just landed in my lap, and I was like, well, I'm not going to turn this down. So I, throughout that process, I knew that, that industry was not for me. I was luckily introduced to Dayna a little over 3 years ago via a friend of mine, and the rest is history. Dayna and I met, we instantly hit it off, and I've been here ever since. So
it's great. And I think what's really special is that every single person brings something different. Like every single one, we all work together so well, and outside of, being coworkers, like we'd spend so much time together pre-COVID. I mean, let's be honest, Natalie and Kirsten are in the same apartment right now.
Yes.
And that's really, I think, what makes the company so special is that everyone is their own individual, but together, like, we all work so well.
I think my favorite part of like all of that is, I think maybe a year or two into me working for you, Dayna, Paul found an email from me from like 3 years back, like reaching out to you guys cold turkey and being like, hey, I don't know if you're hiring, but like I would love to work for Big Picture Media. Please see my resume attached here. Like,
I also think it's worth mentioning that like Kirsten's friend was actually interviewing for the job, and she wasn't the right fit, unfortunately, but she knew that Kirsten would be. So she selflessly said, like, listen, I know I'm not getting the job, but you should meet Kirsten. And ultimately, that's how we met. And I was like, you were right. She's perfect. Thank you. I should say
you have that own edible arrangement.
Right? I should.
Oh, I love it. Well, now that we know how this super team was formed, you just touched on it. Let's start with the obvious, the elephant in the room. What's the big picture workplace been like in the age of COVID? Like, how are you each doing, but also how are you managing to keep the team together in all of this? So Dayna, maybe you should take off again since you are the leader.
Yeah. So what's crazy is we bought a house in Massachusetts like 4 years ago, and we kept our apartment in New York for a while. So I was going back and forth every other week. So the team has been incredibly self-sufficient since that started. I was in New York March 7th. The last show I saw was 4 Years Strong. And the whole world went to hell right after that. Like, I said goodbye to the girls and I came back, and then like 3 days later we shut down, and everyone's been working from home ever since. And I hate to even say, like, 4 out of the 7 got COVID. Everyone is okay, obviously, but we have 4 or 3 of you. 4 of you had it. 4 of you. Katie, Gabriella, and you two. Yeah. So I know, totally, that's okay. That's okay to say that. It's not.
I like telling people.
Hey, I mean, you had it. So many people had it. Like, it's not.
So, I mean, we immediately pivoted. Trust me, I had many sleepless nights. We lost so much business overnight. And my main priority was really just keeping their jobs. And that was it. And Paul is amazing. And he was able to like finagle a bagel and make sure that, over the years, we've done a good job of saving. And that was our biggest priority, was just like making sure that they stay calm and didn't see my panic. I think I had like one severe nervous breakdown where I like cried to everybody, but ultimately it was like, okay, I trust you guys. You can work from home, which is not my typical like philosophy. I'm like, I like us in a room together. We vibe and bounce ideas off of each other. So like, how are we going to do this? But we've made it work. And we just did our staff reviews last week, or was it this week? No, last week. And not one of them have faltered. Every single one of them is thriving. Like, no campaigns have suffered. Like, this is proven to us that it's worked. And we've been able to open up our internship program, which is incredibly competitive to begin with, because you have to be in New York, like, internationally. So that's been a really nice silver lining as well.
That's wonderful. Natalie, what's it been like for you?
I'm getting used to it. I'm also someone, the way Dayna said, like, I like to be around my coworkers. We would have like staff meetings in a conference room where we got to like just talk about what was going on that week. We also were in a co-working space, so it was nice to have like other people around. But I've gotten used to it. I have my own little routine that like helps me. I didn't just do this makeup for this. I do my makeup every day. Like, any slight chance of like normalcy, I'll take. I did end up moving, so my roommate actually works at AGI, which is a booking agency, so she's in the industry as well. We ended up getting a 3-bedroom apartment, so we now have an office. So I'll wake up and walk to the office. And that helps me a little bit, like, break up my days. And like we were mentioning, like, Kirsten and I try to get together at least once a week, just because I miss talking out loud to people when we have like a lot of things going on. But yeah.
And Kirsten, you're last but not least. What's it like for you?
Definitely, I would say an adjustment. I'm a very social person, so I kind of thrive off of other people's energy. So, when all of this started, my roommate fled to Long Island, where she's from, and I live in the East Village, so my apartment is about this big. And I just was I went into like a little state of a panic because I didn't know what to do. I thought about going home to my mom's. I thought about staying and just sticking it out, thinking this was going to be done by like Memorial Day. And I ended up going to my mom's in New Jersey. And that helped, the space helped, and just having a routine and having someone with me. And then also, we have weekly staff meetings via Zoom, and it's just so nice to like see everyone's faces and kind of be able to have our brainstorms that way. I do now. I think I kind of like the whole working from home thing because it kind of gives us. I discovered running during quarantine. Crazy concept. Fit care. So I kind of like the chance to like kind of like take a break in my day and like go for a run or like do whatever I need to do. So that's kind of been a perk for me. But I mean, I definitely miss everybody, and who knows when we're gonna, be able to work together again. But I hope it's soon.
Oh, I hope it is for you guys as well. I've been working from home for 7 years, so my life hasn't really changed. I don't have coworkers to see. I see more people now than I used to because we do this. But it's working out all right. I'm fine with it. It's cool. I hang out with my dog and my cats, my girlfriend. We're good.
I was going to say, yeah, you've got some folks there with you.
Yeah, I mean, they're all locked out now, or else this would just be the tulip show the entire time. She would be asking the questions, but we're here. We're doing it. All right. I want to talk about what you hit on things going really well with your campaigns recently, and I have seen your artists everywhere. So I'm curious, especially because Big Picture has a reputation of doing a lot of alternative artists, and you're really good at helping break newer bands in that space. So what has it been like trying to pitch places, especially bigger outlets, on your clients in a time where you can't be like, go see them live? Which is kind of like the default, right? Like you'll get it once you see it. Well, they can't see it. So now how are you getting people to care about stuff that they aren't immediately like, I like this?
It's tricky. I mean, I think even more than that is like, how do you reach out to people in a pandemic? Like, how do you reach out to people who we don't even know if they have their job, if they're sick, if, what their home situation is like? And that was a big struggle for us because we always, we wouldn't take on a project if we didn't see success in it. And we still have to pay the bills. So we have to work. We want to do right by our clients, but we also, these are relationships that we cherish. And so we never want to jeopardize that by, just sending the wrong email at the wrong time. So I think that was a lot of the struggle in the beginning. And, the first thing that we said was, I hope you're well is not going to work right now. Like, hope this email finds you well. It's not. Like, it's a shit show. The world is on fire. And we were just honest. Like, we were like, hi, I know that this is a tough time. Like, if no pressure, if you want to check this out on your own, like, be my guest, get back to us. But it's been difficult to say the least. I think a lot of our artists have been incredibly creative and in pivoting to, come up with content that they wouldn't have before. But every single one, I mean, I was in the middle of a neck deep rollout, a 9-month-long marketing PR plan that just went to shit. And, it was difficult. I mean, it's so hard to say, but for us, like, just really knowing our bands the way that we do and being able to say, like, okay, outside of the live show, like, what on the lifestyle side can we talk about more? Like, what is it that you're doing to survive during the pandemic? And, like, let's give your fans an inside look on, like, how you guys are coping every day. And so there was a lot of that, I can say, on the Neck Deep project, where the guys, like, were just live streaming, signing records and just talking, or, like, just cooking, or Sam was, like, redecorating his apartment and doing it. So just, like, more interesting type of fan engagement stuff, where less for me, like, we really didn't do a ton because the band wasn't comfortable doing it. They just were like, I can't talk about us right now. Their world is more than that. So,
and I think we would get on Zooms together and kind of go with our guts and be like, does it feel right to pitch right now? Like, how are we all feeling about this? Because we're people too. We see the state of the world. We can, like, read the world. We know when it's like not a great time to be doing these things. We're trying to just do the best we can. None of us have ever been through something like this. I don't know how to navigate it as well. It's been like a huge learning and understanding space for me as well.
We've all been leaning on each other too. I mean, that's really how we've been getting through this, is because no one knows. It's like uncharted territory, but people need music. People need to, and like that truly is what I think gets people through this stuff. And it's like, well, for us, like for me personally, having to get on calls with my clients who are sad and they're unable to get out on tour, and that's their life. Like that's all they've known for forever. And, they enter into depression, and it's like, well, as a publicist, like I understand, but as a fan, like I need you to be putting yourself out there, So it's tricky. It's definitely something that I think we'll look back on and be like, how the hell did we do that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Kirsten.
I think it's definitely been a huge adjustment, but I mean, I think people, in times of struggle, people want to create art, and they also want to, like people on the other end of it, they want to receive and see new things from their favorite artists. So I think that's been like a somewhat of a silver lining, like also, and just like a little, less deep idea, like people are bored, and they were looking for new things to do, and consumers were looking for, art to receive. So I think it's just definitely an adjustment all around.
But a silver lining has been all the incredible things that have come with it. So like Summer Stage going digitally, like this full festival being digital now, like that's something they've never done before. Like, okay, not to be a publicist, but Immersia Connect. It's going to be this B2B virtual trade show. Like what I just, these are things I had never even thought of in my head. And it's so cool to learn about them and to be able to like teach people about them or things like that. So
thank goodness for technology, really, is what it comes down to, is like, even our artists who are making music, they're on different sides of the country and they're able to send stems and whatnot. So there's going to be a lot of good music coming up soon. I can tell you that.
I would agree. I was going to bring up Immersia, so it's okay. You can go into publicist mode. We're actually we're going to get there basically right now. So we're moving into it.
All right.
You touched on, coming from my side of things where I still do a lot of writing, it is weird seeing the different way things are pitched now a little bit. I have had a lot of emails to start with, like, are you in a space to accept pitches right now? Or are you even listening to new music? And on the
right, yeah, you're on the receiving end of it. So you see, and if you got an email that was like not sensitive, like I'm sure you'd be like, dick, like, why am I getting a pitch,
And I feel like the timeline for emails have kind of changed. From the Haulix thing, we were working on an outreach thing when the pandemic hit, and I was sending all these emails, and now just like in the last 6 weeks, I started to get some responses to them from people that didn't respond 6 months ago, who are like, I'm finally going through my inbox and being like, now I might take an interest in this thing. Yeah. So there's that weird trade-off as well. But I'm curious, in this age where it is, a lot of people have less time, a lot of people aren't writing as much, and the competition seems to never be higher because everyone is looking for some type of feature or content placement. What are the things that you've seen working? Like, what are some of the emerging trends that you found in pitching where it's like, oh, we're seeing a lot more of this, or this seems to be getting high engagement all around? What's the new in the world of music PR, whether it's a result of the pandemic or just something that was already kind of in vogue before it happened?
Something I've taken away is just, I've always tried to be pretty personal in my pitches, but like when this first started, I think we all kind of reached out to writers we had relationships with and did that same thing where it's like, how are you? Are you in a headspace to take pitches? What's been going on? What's been making you happy? And forming a bond that is beyond writer publicist. It's just like, hey, are you okay? Because we care about you because you help us so much. And kind of going from there. I've noticed if I'm truly asking like, how's it going, or what's been making you happy this week, or things of that nature, like they'll be more inclined to get back just to like form a human bond, because I don't think we've really got a lot of that going on, at least personally. But yeah, that's something I took away with it that I've noticed.
Yeah, I also think, I think a lot of people, just different new trends that have come up, like as Dayna kind of touched on, like people are doing things and sharing things with fans that they normally maybe wouldn't in the middle of an album cycle. Like, as Dayna mentioned, neck deep cooking. And I know, like, I'm currently working on a feature for one of my clients that's like your top 5, like, things in your closet, things like that. So, like, just more, more personal features, which are pretty cool because it's not, while we try to touch on those types of things in every campaign that we come across, it's not always as successful as we want it to be, or it's always as personal as we want it to be. So it's been kind of a nice time to, like, get to know your favorite artist a little bit better.
I have enjoyed getting a more of an inside look at people at this period, even if it doesn't have to have anything to do with music. Like I'm a huge Jason Isbell fan. I feel like I didn't know how funny he was until this happened, and he's just stuck at home tweeting more often. And now I'm like, oh, I love him so much more as just a human being than I even do as an artist at this point, just because of that exposure.
I think it's okay. I think every single one of us has had a breaking point. I think, you just didn't know where everybody was every day. And it's like good to have a temperature check. And this is what I would say to the staff. Like, if you're having an off day, take it. Like, come back tomorrow better than ever and conquer everything that you didn't do today, but, like, take your day. And I think we had to just be incredibly understanding about everyone's mental state. I mean, Katie was home alone. Like, all of us at least had a roommate or had her roommate left, and so she was alone with her dog for like 4 months, right? Like 3 months. So I'm just waiting for her to chime in on the chat here, but it's hard. That's hard, and that's why I said to everybody else, I'm like, check in with Katie, please. Like, she's really alone. It's so, tricky stuff.
Yeah. Shout out Katie. She's been doing that Fit for a King campaign very well, bringing it full circle back to the introduction. So shout out Katie. And I think Becky's watching. So there's another member of the team that's not here with us that's watching. She's been doing a lot of really good stuff. In fact, when I get off of this, I'm heading immediately into a call with American authors. So there's a little plug
great.
working on. So there we go. We're keeping it going, keeping the promotions going. On the topic of things that are happening in PR as a result of the pandemic, you guys have, we just talked about Emerja, and not to bring up Fit for a King again, but since their album's out this Friday, they've been so busy. They just did a live stream event. How do you feel about this new era of the live stream event? Do you love them? Is this something that you're talking with all of your clients about, or are they bringing it to you? Like, what is the energy on the artist side of things in PR world about these live stream events?
I think it works for some artists. I think it doesn't work for some. I think it depends on, the sound of the singer and, like, can they do this without tracks? Can they do this acoustic? Like, it really just depends. But we've seen so many of our artists come together and do something so creative that, like, we didn't know existed before. But like Natalie mentioned, so we do publicity for the City Parks Department and Central Park Summer Stage, and all of the shows all summer long in the 5 boroughs of New York. So I'm talking like 90 shows spread over like 3 months with every single publicist just everywhere. Like, our summers are usually insane. Right at the hit of this, they were like, okay, we have to let you guys go. A huge blow to us, like financially, but also like we have such a big space on our roster because we all work on that project. And then they came back and like, okay, we're doing digital content now. Everything's live. And so, I mean, overnight we had to figure out how to make that work. And that's 5 genres of music too. So it's not just rock, it's Latin, it's world, it's dance, it's everything. So, and tonight, for anybody watching, for the past like 3 months, we've been working on this Jubilee, which is tonight at 8 p.m. with Sting and Trey Anastasio and Emily King and Ryan Seacrest and Jimmy Fallon and Norah Jones. So that airs tonight live, and it's free. It is so much work. So much work goes into that. We talk about maybe 320 Fest, which had to switch and become digital. We had what else did we have that just turned digital? What's the other film festival? Yeah, Pusher Film Festival. Now that's digital. Like the crazy things where, New York Coffee Festival, right? So there's just so many different projects where everyone has just been like, okay, I have to survive. It's sink or swim. We're going to make this work, Was that the question?
No, you hit it pretty well. I have some follow-ups. It's cool. Well, I'll add that I did press stuff for Fantasia Festival out of Canada, which was a digital festival this year for the first time. I thought it was going to be weird at first, but ultimately ended up being really cool because it was the first time, like my family being my partner and I, but that I could like share in that excitement of seeing a film that you haven't even seen a trailer for before.
Old
Where it's
37 was there. Not this
exactly.
year.
Not this
like,
year.
Yeah, 2015 or something. But yeah, Old 37.
Yeah. Great plug. Again, look at that. Bringing it all in. This is good PR at display. How do you feel about the difference between, artists that want to do the free events that, they're kind of spending a lot of money and hoping for tips and merch versus the artists who are doing, I'm watching Lamb of God tomorrow night, for example, not a BPM client, but they're doing I think it's $20 to watch their show. So do you guys have a preference between trying to go the free route versus going the paid route up front?
As a fan, I'm throwing money at my favorite band. So I'm happy to pay for tickets. I'm happy to do those things. As a publicist, I say if you're a little smaller, like maybe start free, or like if you're someone like Under Oath and do like insane production, like again, I'm happy to pay $20, $25 for a ticket.
I always say as long as there's a philanthropic tie-in. If you're going to charge, give back. So find an organization right now that you can throw to, and if you're going to charge, at least a percentage of proceeds has to go there. I think it's a bad look if it doesn't, That being said, I know our artists have to survive, and touring is such a gigantic component to their income. So, they're being very creative. But, Natalie and I did a call yesterday with one of like the biggest music managers out there, and he's like, I'm not comfortable with a paywall yet. He's like, I'm just not, That being said, when you're in there, if you want to buy some merch, go for it, but not charging upfront. So we've seen it both ways. I don't necessarily have a personal opinion. I know I would pay for something that I wanted to see. So I think from a PR front though, as long as you have some sort of a kickback to an organization, it works.
I've gotten press access. It's weird to get press invites to digital concerts because people will be like, you want us to put you on the list for that, thing you can sit in front of your laptop to watch. But I have tended to buy merch every time because there is a little bit of like, you see how expensive something is. Like if it looks really good and sounds really good, like the Under Oath one, if you got into that for free, you're like, oh, I should give them some money because this feels weird to not be paying for this kind of thing. So I think that the merch aspect of a free event can pay off as long as you have a good audience. There could be a lot of cool building, and I'm interested to see how that footage gets used, 6 to 12 months down the road, because I feel like there's a lot of cool content opportunities that can come out of a really good live stream as well. Moving.
I'm so sorry. I was just going to say that they either were the first to really do it that well because the press they got was amazing. So that to me, what they did.
Yeah. You really couldn't put, the press on that was cool. Plus they added the transparency thing where I think we talked about on another one of these Haulix Live events that Trivium did an event like that a couple of weeks before Under Oath, and they charged $10 and they had like 10,000 people sign up. But they didn't like put that out in a press release. It came up while we were talking about it here on the show. And I was like, oh, that's really good. Plus merch sales on top of all of that. Like that's a really good payday for a band. But people have to remember, it's just one day. It's not like every night, or that you can even do it again. Moving along, I want to talk a little bit about the new stuff because there are campaigns that you guys are pushing before this all kicked off. So you had a little bit of that forward momentum. But tell me about getting people to care about new music right now. Now, Natalie, put you on the spot a little bit. You're working the Bearings record. Great record. The single Sway, amazing. Great band. Love those boys. But what's it like trying to get people to pay attention to something new when they're like, have you noticed the gesturing towards the world on fire?
I was actually surprised at how many people were saying to me when this kind of all started and still recently, like, hey, send me new music. Now I have time to listen to it. You kind of touched on that a little earlier. In the same way we just like reach out to like check in when I'm dealing with a new artist that like I truly believe in. I'll send them to writers, but I don't really ask for anything. Not a premiere, not an interview. I just go, here's this. This is why I like them. Just putting this on your radar and like interested to see what you think. And like kind of trying to create fans within writers like very early on. So by the time this all kind of kicks up, like they're the ones, they're the key holders to like, they know what's good. They know what they want to talk about and promote and things like that. But I feel like, yeah, people have been very encouraging about us sending new music and new bands. And I think Big Picture has a pretty good reputation. I think people open our emails, like if we're sending something, it's because we like really stand behind it. And I feel lucky that people trust us with new music stuff.
Congratulations. Well done. Kirsten and Dayna, anything to add to that in terms of getting people to take an interest in new music, or are they coming to you looking for that new music?
I think, as we've been reaching out in the midst of all of this, I think, just being genuine in your pitches, and also really just putting your true feelings about how you feel about this artist and how you feel about this, and why should someone care. I think that is going to hook someone in, pandemic or no pandemic. And I mean, that's what we try to do. That's our goal with every campaign and every artist that we work on. But, I think some pitches come off, more passionate than others. And I agree with how Natalie said, when it comes to an artist we really stand behind, you can feel that come through in a pitch. And I think just that alone can kind of hook someone in. So.
Also, Barings just wrote a great record, so.
Yeah, it's true. Good music helps, right?
It has to be good music.
Yeah.
I haven't worked on anything new that I can say throughout the pandemic personally, but I was just thinking of Kira, of your roster, you took on Evie Oddly throughout this, you're crushing Spanish love songs. There's so many projects that just took off that you didn't. I mean, Evie obviously, in her own right, she's incredible, but a new one for Big Picture, we haven't touched a reality TV star, that of that nature. And so that was a goal. That was one of Kirsten's bucket list things. So it was she cried when I told her.
For those who don't know, she is the winner of season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race. And I'm a Drag Race fan. So, yeah. That was
also alternative. She,
yeah.
her,
and she's very kind of creepy but glam at the same time. Yeah, very cool. So that started up in May. So I mean, that was mid-pandemic, and things are going great. And so.
Well, I know that this video will be watched by a lot of people who already know you, but there's probably some people out there who have always wanted to get in tight with the Big Picture team. Dayna, you and I met at South by Southwest, which is just a thing that doesn't happen anymore in our current reality. So if somebody wants to get to know the Big Picture team, or just in general form relationships with publicists where they can actually start to develop really cool things together, what's the best way to, become friends with all of you?
Oh, that's
Twitter. A lot of friends on Twitter. I also at one point I put my email address in my Twitter bio and literally said, send me for friendship or good music, send it here. And I actually got a bunch of people sending me their music and just saying hi or asking me advice on how to become a publicist or work at Big Picture. I think Big Picture specifically, interning, we're very close with all of our interns. We love them. They do such a great job. And I've walked away holding relationships with a lot of the ones that were interns with us. So.
Yeah, I mean, I love to help people. Just send me an email. It might take me a month to get back to you. Not as much now that Zoe's in school, but so just send me an email. My Twitter is public, so someone can write me a message on Twitter. My Instagram's all babies, so nobody wants to be on there. But yeah, Twitter or just my email. You could just email me. But interns are vital. We love our interns. It's a competitive program and they work really hard. But now that we are open to, interns from everywhere, that's a great way. Otherwise, I just love having friends. So if you just want to be my friend, and you're cool,
yeah. We used to love to hang at shows. Let's grab a beer,
Yeah. James, I was also thinking about South by Southwest this morning because that was before we would get a venue to do our press. I learned so much back then, and it was one of those moments. What was the first South by that we went to? Was it when I had Dustin and City and Color, or was it? Yeah,
I think so.
And I remember, I wanted to put food out for the press because that's just who I am. I feed people, and I remember we went into the hotel lobby and didn't have a private space. It was a public garden. And I ordered a bunch of food and drink for the press people. And I was in an interview holding a camera for a press person because as publicists, this is what we do. Sometimes we have to also be cameramen and lighting and hair and makeup. And I remember an entire convention had come out into the lobby and started eating all of the food and drink that I bought for our press people. And I couldn't like stop. I was like holding the camera and I'm like, stop eating the food. Like, but I feel like that was like South by like, I don't even know what year, like, I don't even know, 07 or 08 or something, 05, 06, I don't know. But I was thinking back to that today. Weird memories.
Good memories, good times. I don't know when we'll get to do it again, but good memories.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Oh, that's sad. All right. I've gotten a few questions. People emailed me in advance of this with some questions. If anyone's watching on Zoom or on Facebook, you can leave a comment or ask a question. We'll try to get to them if we have time. But I already have two already lined up from our email. So in advance, our friend Rachel Harrison asks, if you have a new single campaign to push, not an album, just a single, what is the first step to getting the word out, especially in the current crisis?
Just a single?
Just a single.
On a press run?
On a press run, yep.
My go-to moves here would be, depending on when the single was coming out, like 2 weeks or a week before, like sending under embargo pitches. So just kind of giving a sneak peek into the single that's coming out. Kind of finding fans and champions and writers a little ahead of time, putting a press release together, getting it out wide, pitching for a bunch of editorial playlists.
Is she an artist herself?
Does not
Asking
say.
for her. Oh, okay.
Does not say. She might be trying to steal your tricks of the trade. I don't know.
Well, I was saying from an art, I'd have different advice if she was an artist and didn't have a budget for PR, or if she was a publicist looking for our advice. So I feel like I'd have different advice from both. But
Rachel, what you mean?
Rachel, do you sing? Like, that's fine.
Be more specific. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I love it. That's a solid answer. Next one, we're going to talk business-wise. Now, the pandemic has presented us with a lot of challenges. Publicists are not necessarily known as being great at having a work-life balance. Now that all of your work life happens at your other life, what's it been like trying to balance those two things? And do you have any advice for people who are kind of caught in that music struggle of like, I work, I don't have other things that I do?
I'll go last because I'll speak to the moms out there.
Perfect.
So I'll go last.
Kirsten, you go.
Okay, I was just gonna say find a hobby, and that is what I did. Like I said, I got into running and I got into yoga, and I just forced myself to be like, all right, you need to take a break, like, and it's okay to take a break. You don't panic. Like, your work will be there when you return. Because I mean, when we're in the office, I think a lot of us are guilty of doing this. Like, we won't get up from our desks except to pee. And so I mean, just find a hobby and have a routine. I think it's super important to have a routine as well. Set yourself up for success for the day, but be kind to yourself. And cut yourself a break, because and you have to force yourself. Set yourself a time or an alarm or something and be like, okay, this is going to be my break for the day, and let it be a full hour. Let it be a full hour lunch break,
And Dayna has been very good about telling us, like, take a break, eat lunch. Like, we just keep each other updated. You work your hours 10, get off at 7. I personally, I enjoy work. I'd like to do it. So, like, I will at 11 p.m. I was editing a press release. I wasn't asleep. I don't mind it. I can do it from the comfort of my bed while I'm watching YouTube videos. So it doesn't, I've always kind of been like this. So I know there is a balance, but I enjoy working. So I will do it, which is on me.
But that looks so good. I think I've always struggled with this. It's something that I've gotten better through the years. When I started Big Picture, I worked from home for the first 3 months, and I would just fall asleep with my laptop next to my bed and pull it up and then work all day and then go to sleep. And it was what I deemed necessary because I was starting out. We lost James. You're back.
Nope,
Hi.
I'm back.
Hi. We missed you so much. But so then I feel like I was younger. I didn't have as much responsibility, where now, I have a 11-month-old baby. I have a 7.5-year-old daughter. And I just my balance comes from wherever I am at that moment. Like, I'm dialed in. So if I'm working, I am working. Zoe busts into our Zooms almost every time. I mean, and the girls love her.
A highlight, I'd say.
She's fun. She loves them all so much. So, if I'm working, I'm working. And that's how I am. If I'm with the kids, I'm with the kids. And I'm texting the girls, we're slacking. I am sending them pictures and videos, but I try to be present in the moment where I am. So I have a really difficult time being a mom and a boss at the same time. For me, they don't work. It's almost like two separate sides of my brain. Honestly, it's so hard to even explain how that is, and it's not because I'm two different people in each role. I really find it difficult, like momming when I have work to do.
She tells us to drink water, like she moms us.
I do. I truly do. I think in the pandemic, finding the balance was hard. I was just coming out of maternity leave and just getting ready to jump back in, and all this happened. So, they really made me take a maternity leave too. And when I say they, I mean the staff. I didn't with Zoe. I went back to work after 2 weeks, and it's my biggest regret because I remember the babysitter texting me Zoe rolled over, and I was like, oh my God, what? I missed that. And so I was I didn't want that to happen with Bodhi, and I stayed home with him, and it was awesome. But for me, I've been working from home because we have this house in Massachusetts now. So I have to be in solitude. I have to find my space, make sure that my space is my workspace. It can't be messy. My bedroom's a disaster. I have laundry everywhere. My workspace is pristine. And that helps me because I know I'm going to my workspace and I'm getting work done here. And again, like Natalie said, I love my job. I love it so much. I love it to this day. And it's been 15 plus years, and I love working. And I love writing emails. I love listening to music and getting excited about stuff. So for me to bring my laptop in bed at 11 o'clock at night, it's not it's I get excited to get my work done, I love crossing stuff off my to-do list. So nooks and crannies, I say. Squeeze it in when you can.
Yeah, I always suggest people try to have a dedicated workspace if your home will allow for it. I have this room has a door, so when it closes, I tend to not be working if I can help it.
Yeah, help.
But if you live in New York City, you probably don't have a room that can have a door that you can just close and not use for most of the day. So
yeah, I know one. I'm a lucky bird. We ended up getting one. And it's so funny because I work with my roommate in that closed room, and she used to work at Big Picture Media. So yeah. It's just 2009 again,
There you go.
There you go. Separate workspace, yeah, but my separate workspace is Natalie's apartment.
This young lady, Katie Cooper, wants to know, y'all are so positive. What keeps you inspired every day?
Oh, my staff does. I mean, and I'm not even joking. They're young and they have energy, and they teach me all the cool stuff. Truly, when I sign on every day and them working inspires me. Watching them thrive and win. And I tell them all the time, you guys have to advocate for yourself, because as much as I like to be involved in everything, I'm not. And so I'm always tell me your wins, be your own cheerleader. And hearing them be proud of themselves makes me so proud. They inspire me. Also, I love my clients. I get to work with bands that I love. Do you love how I strategically put Sum 41's autographed picture behind me? I love every single one of my bands so much, and I get so excited for new music. I get so excited to be a part of the team and work with them on ideas for rollouts. And I know what goes into making a record, and I don't take it lightly. I know how important our jobs are, and they inspire me too.
Yeah, when you work with
the best we can.
Yeah, when you work with your literal favorite bands and labels, it's very easy to be excited to wake up, So I'll be pitching Pure Noise artists in a Pure Noise hoodie.
Right.
That's so real.
Okay. Pure
Noise water here. I mean, we love it.
Yeah.
I changed out of my Pure Noise crew neck to do this, so I feel you.
Love it.
There you go.
I would say that just my coworkers continue to inspire me, and I mean, like Natalie and Dayna said, it's easy to stay inspired when you love the artists you're working on. And I mean, I've gotten to work with some of my favorite bands over the past couple of years, and I never thought that I would get to do that. And so when, I'm working with, I got to work the Violent Soho record earlier this year, and that was one of the coolest things I've ever got to do. I loved them like back in the day, and I was like, oh my God, like I never thought like I'd be here. So it's like easy to be inspired when you're working on things like that. So.
And you have to be, because it's a tough job, and it is long hours, and we do struggle with work-life balance, and every day is different, and some days are so stressful and you feel like you're never going to conquer your to-do list. There's not enough hours in the day. So I'm very grateful that we have good clients. We don't work with jerks. And if we did accidentally, we let them go pretty quick. So like out the door. So yeah, I think it's an integral part of, I don't know how people do PR in other fields that like I personally find incredibly boring. Like how, I don't know, because it is a tough job. So I'm just grateful that we get to do this every day because we do love it.
Mm. Great answers all around. Now we have 2 questions left, and I will probably get you out of here on time. We shall find out. But they're both fairly easy. So we had a question that came in that was simply, I'm interested in being in PR. I do it for my friends already. How do I take that next step and make it something I get paid doing? How do I get an actual career going in this world?
I would say just network. Your network can never be too big. Also shoot your shot. I'm a huge advocate in all aspects of my life of shooting your shot. And the worst answer you're going to get is no, or like no response at all. And you'll move on. You will, and the next opportunity will come to you. But I think networking is huge.
I think the more you put it out there that you're looking to do this, and by emailing and making connections, your name is going to come to someone's head when they're thinking about who to hire. It's like, oh, Jamie Lee Curtis. Didn't she say she wanted to be one? I don't know why I thought of that name. Just came to me. But yeah, I think when you put it out there like that, you're at the top of mind for jobs and things like that, because you're showing interest, and this is all a passion job, so we need that.
I also think you have to know your worth. I think, you have to put in the time. And if this is someone who's doing it for free and enjoying it and growing their network and making relationships, you'll know when it's time to charge. In the very beginning, we would say no to nothing because I knew where I stood, and I was, I'm like, I'm still learning. If you're going to take a chance on me, like, thank you, no fee. But now that's not the case. We're experienced and we know we're going to have success. And so know your worth, know your value, and start small and then slowly grow. And if, that's tricky because the least paying clients are usually the ones that can't really afford to pay anyway. And they're usually the hardest ones to work with. So it's probably worthwhile to just do it for free, not have that pressure, especially while you're starting, if you can. I would say just keep building it on your own, and I don't know, try to get a job. And it depends if they're trying to get a job in an agency or if they're trying to start their own company. I think it depends. But yeah.
Kind of bouncing off of what Dayna said, this is just like a personal story, but before I worked for Dayna, I don't know if James, you're familiar with the band The Vaughns. They're from New Jersey, and I love them very much. But I did like my own little PR for them, like free of charge. They've been friends of mine forever. And then when I got the big picture, we had always joked about, like when I'm a music publicist, we'll like officially, actually have a professional relationship. When I got to big picture, we ended up bringing them on board, and now yesterday we just announced that they signed to Equal Vision. So it's just like kind of funny how it like all comes full circle.
But they found the Vaughns through an audio tree session that Kirsten secured. Like, it's just so wild how that played out. I would never. So
awesome.
So it's possible.
Yeah.
Who's asking the question?
Being said too, I think it's important to mention like that project specifically because of Kirsten's relationship with them and because of her passion. Like, we took that on like a very discounted fee, and we can't do that for everyone. But if there is a band that's like reluctant to reach out because they don't think that they can afford us, if it's something that we see just like endless potential in and know that it's going to help them and help us and we love it, like we will make it work. We'll find a way to make it work, just if we can't, and I will tell you that too, it's like right now everyone's roster is full. We can't take on any more discounted projects, but I do think that it's worth at least reaching out.
I think that's great advice all around. And I say the same thing to anybody out there that wants to get more seriously into music writing. Do it for free forever. Figure out, make connections, go from there. If you want to write band bios, I still write some for free every now and then, depending on who it is. If they need help, or I offer discounts, same thing across the board. Just try to build up that network, work with artists that you love. And, maybe you'll be in Kirsten's position where you end up loving an artist and then you find yourself working with them a few years later and you're like, I get to call you by your first name. That's weird. Okay, let's keep going. I appreciate all that you've shared today. Last question is always the easiest one, because this is where we get to talk about the things that you talk about every single day, what you're promoting right now, what you're looking forward to, what people should be getting in touch with you to learn more about. And I don't know, we started with Dayna at the beginning, so Kirsten, we'll start with you. What are you working on right now that people should be aware of?
Yeah. Natalie and I together are working on Immersia, as she mentioned earlier. The new Evie Oddly record, that's her debut record, coming out in October. Oh God, what else is on my roster right now? I'm looking at my to-do list. I have a couple of artists on Atoned Music. Danny Gu, who's a bit SoundCloud rap, indie pop type of thing, a cool mismatch. He has an EP coming out later this year. Sloan, he also has an EP coming out this fall. He is a jazz prodigy turned pop artist, very cool background. Well, sorry, I have to look at my to-do list for real.
Gosh, like Dying Wish, Sea Haven Slit.
Slit is a Dallas-based metalcore band. They just put out an EP a couple weeks ago. Very cool. And yeah, that's kind of what I have a couple others, but yeah, those are my bigger projects right now. And so reach out to me if you're interested in any of that, and we will figure something out.
Let them go.
Natalie, you're up.
I'm up. All of Pure Noise, all of Hope's record.
That's cheating. What's a specific project?
I can't. Well, Bearings, I'm very, very excited about. That record is so good. The new Stand Atlantic record is already out, but I love that
Super
band.
good.
Bonnie is like such a star. Parish, a band from like Paris, France, very alternative like rock, so good. They're on side one. Immersia, this like B2B virtual weed trade show, is like very much something I'm very interested in helping. I'm excited to see like what else comes from this like 3D technology that a lot of brands are using. Find Your Anchor, which is a nonprofit suicide awareness organization that I've been working with the founder, Ali. Lady Gaga and her Born This Way Foundation is a huge advocate for it. So I just think that's very cool. And there are very big things coming from them. And just like overall, like getting incredible new things for big picture, like reaching out to like, there's so many things we want, like I've been trying to work more with comedians. I know Katie's very into like sporting events and doing more of that. So a big thing in my review with Dayna that I just had is like branching out big picture a little more and taking on these like kind of projects that we don't necessarily work on too often. But, and that book, I want to read the book.
Love it.
Yeah, so Immersia that we keep talking about, this is a space we've been trying to get into. It's the cannabis wellness space. So, there's going to be a lot of music elements to it, but the first thing is this B2B virtual event that's happening in November, and it's groundbreaking, truly. And so there's a lot of different tiers to what we're doing with them, but we are in, and we announced it today, so there's a lot more to come. And then tonight we've got this big event that we talked about, the Jubilee event. That's free. Everyone should watch that. And then, me personally, 2 of the records that I was going to work on got shelved, I'd say. The artists just are not writing. So I don't have anything throughout the end of the year. But yesterday we found out that one of our artists is doing a split with another really, really big artist. It's a surprise. I won't leak that one. So that's really great. And then just other big, so we've got American authors that Becky's working on. We've got girlfriends. We've got, there's just a lot of fun, different things. We're doing this Adapt conference coming up that we haven't announced yet, but we will be.
Okay.
I don't know how much more I can say about that.
Tease the people, Dayna. Tease.
I'm spilling all the beans. I'm my dad right now. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff coming up. A lot of conferences, a lot of really just good educational things. And let me look here. What else? I want to, Katie. Yeah, Dwayne's great. Have we announced small pools yet? I don't know if have we announced?
Also, just as a company, we still are very excited about like up and coming bands, like Meet Me at the Altar, obsessed with, Shift, obsessed with. Like we're always talking about these bands. Like we see them like getting popular on Twitter, like wherever we're always constantly looking new bands.
I want to mention Haley's Client to the Moon and Back too. It's a book that we're about children who are born addicted to drugs, and basically it's a book that a child could read about acceptance, and it's really special. And Haley's working with them right now too, which is great. And Happy's such a good band. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. So much good stuff.
Bouncing off of Natalie
for an hour, James.
I know.
Dying Wish, who just signed to Sharp Tone, female-led metal band, so cool. I feel like there was one more that I wanted to mention. And the Ones, who just signed to Equal Vision. Look out for more things from them, but things are, yeah.
Things are busy. I love it. Well, let me do my plugs real quick again. This event has been brought to you by Haulix. We have a really cool limited series podcast called High Notes. You can stream the entire first season right now. Season 2 is coming in December. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a big picture contact in there at some point. I don't know. I haven't sent the email yet. And you can find all of these wonderful people and Becky and Katie and the entire team by visiting Big Picture Media pretty much everywhere online. I believe it's Big Picture NYC on Twitter. All right, Big Picture NYC. Verified, fancy. Okay, hands off.
I worked so hard for that.
I appreciate you three making time to be here. Dayna, I've eaten up at least a month of your life in the last 12 years, so I appreciate you spending that much time.
We're so happy to be here. I'm so happy to put lipstick on and just.
I know we all got ready today. This feels like
I
normal.
I myself out tonight. This outfit.
I love it. Well, thank you to everyone that's watching. We will have another event in a couple of weeks. We're putting together the details now. And if you missed any part of this, it's available on our Facebook page in full, and it'll be on the YouTube channel Music Biz very soon. You can find it by looking at youtube.com/musicbiz. How did we get that? I don't know. We're just lucky. Yeah. Anything that we missed before I let you all go back to your to-do lists?
Register to vote.
Yes.
Sending your
Wear a mask.
Wear hands. Please, just do the right things. Be a good person. Stand up for what's right. Happy Thursday.
Okay. Happy Thursday. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank
This
you.
has been fun.
Thank you, James.